He was a champion, forgotten by everyone, except his dog. After years
hi.
of loneliness,
Hi.
he finally found
Hi.
someone he
Hi.
trusted. The woman he loved betrayed him and vanished with his fortune. When he wanted to give up, his dog reminded him how to fight. He lost everything, but with his dog, he became unstoppable. Jack Carter woke up every morning at 4:30 a.m., not because he had to, but because fighters never stop being fighters. At 50 years old, his body was slower, his hands a little stiffer, but his discipline was still sharp. The small boxing gym in South Philadelphia was quiet at that hour, lights dim, air cold. The walls were covered with faded posters of champions from another era, and right in the center was Jack's own picture. Jack Carter, undefeated for 12 straight fights. That was 20 years ago. Now most people had forgotten him. Everyone except Max. The German shepherd sat outside the gym door every morning, perfectly still, like a soldier on duty. The moment Jack unlocked the door, Max's tail hit the wall with excitement. "You ready, champ?" Jack smiled, rubbing his ears. Max barked once, sharp, confident. They trained together every day. Jack hit the heavy bag, while Max ran in tight circles around the ring. When Jack did push-ups, Max lay beside him, head resting on his arms. During road work, Max stayed perfectly beside him, never falling behind, never running ahead. People laughed sometimes. A man training with a dog like it's his coach. But Jack didn't care, because Max wasn't a dog to him. He was family. Jack had no wife, no children, no real friends left in the fight world. When fame disappeared, so did the phone calls. Promoters stopped answering. Old teammates stopped visiting. Only Max stayed. 5 years earlier, Jack had found Max abandoned behind a closed warehouse, ribs showing, scared, shaking. Jack recognized the look immediately. It was the same look he had when boxing left him behind. He took Max home that night. From that day on, they saved each other. Jack talked to Max like he was human. "You know, boy, when I was your age, Madison Square Garden used to chant my name." Max would tilt his head, listening like he understood every word. And somehow he did. Every night, Jack cooked chicken and rice, splitting it evenly. "Equal partners," Jack said. Max never touched his food until Jack sat down. Respect, loyalty, something Jack no longer found in people. The neighborhood kids knew them as a pair. There goes the boxer and his dog. And Jack felt proud of that, because when the world forgot him, Max never did. But life has a cruel way of testing loyalty, and Jack had no idea that the greatest fight of his life was not waiting in a ring. It was about to walk into his heart, and when it did, everything would change. Next, a chance meeting will make Jack believe life is finally giving him a second chance, but will that hope be the beginning of his destruction? It was a sunny afternoon when she appeared. Jack had just finished a grueling 3-mile run with Max by his side. Sweat dripped down his face, his gloves still warm from punching the heavy bag, when a soft laugh caught his attention. She was standing outside the gym, leaning casually against the chain-link fence. Golden hair, bright eyes, and a smile that seemed to cut through the gray of his routine life. "Hi," she said, her voice light and teasing. "You must be Jack Carter. I've heard about you." Jack, taken aback, nodded. "That's me. And you are?" "Emily," she replied. "I'm a fan, I guess. I watch a lot of boxing documentaries. You were amazing." Jack felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He smiled, brushing sweat from his forehead.
"You're too kind," he said, glancing at Max, who sat watching her with a quiet, cautious curiosity. Emily crouched down, letting Max sniff her hand. Max wagged his tail slowly, approving. From that day, Emily appeared often. She came to the gym, laughing at Jack's grumbles, cheering him on. She'd bring coffee, lunch, little notes of encouragement. Jack's days suddenly felt lighter. For the first time in years, he was looking forward to something, someone. He stopped noticing the ache in his joints, the slow pace of his mornings. Emily made him feel alive again. He even started skipping some of his more grueling routines, thinking maybe it's okay to enjoy life outside the gym. Max noticed it too. The dog seemed uneasy at times, sitting at a distance while Jack and Emily laughed together. Max's eyes followed Jack with a silent question, "Don't forget me." But Jack didn't see it. He was blinded by the warmth, the attention, the spark of romance that seemed impossible after so many years of loneliness. Weeks passed. Emily's charm wrapped around Jack like a warm glove. She introduced him to restaurants, small trips, even nights out at the local bar. Jack spent more time with her than training. Max became quiet, withdrawn, sitting outside the apartment, waiting for Jack to return. And then came the night that changed everything. Emily invited Jack to dinner. It was intimate, candlelight, soft music. Jack felt like a young man again, ready to conquer the world. She leaned close. "I'm so glad I met you, Jack. You're amazing." Jack's heart raced. "I feel alive again, Emily. You make me feel like I can do anything." She smiled, whispering, "And I want to be part of your world." But in that moment, Max, sitting quietly in the corner, let out a low growl. Jack frowned. "Max, what's wrong, boy?" But he ignored it, captivated by Emily. He didn't realize that Max's instincts were warning him of the betrayal lurking just around the corner. Jack thinks he's found love and happiness, but Emily has secrets. When the truth comes out, it will shatter everything and leave only one friend by his side.
Jack had never felt so happy. For weeks, Emily had been the center of his world. The gym, the morning runs, even Max, everything seemed secondary to the warmth of her smile. She had him laughing, planning trips, imagining a future that Jack thought he had lost forever. For the first time in decades, Jack Carter felt like a man with everything: youth, energy, love. Max, however, noticed the change long before Jack did. The dog had always been his shadow, his protector, his conscience. Now, Max spent hours sitting by the door, watching Emily with guarded eyes. He didn't growl, but there was a tension in his posture, a warning he hoped Jack would understand. Jack didn't. One night, Emily invited him to her apartment. The lights were dim, soft music played, and Jack felt an intoxicating sense of peace. For the first time, he didn't think about training, about fights, about the heavy bag that had been his only companion for decades. He leaned back, staring into her eyes, believing that he had finally found the love he had dreamed of. Then it happened. The next morning, Jack woke up to an empty apartment. At first, he thought Emily had stepped out, but her things were gone. Her clothes, her makeup, her shoes, everything. His phone buzzed with notifications, bank alerts, withdrawals, large amounts. Emily had taken every cent he had saved for years. Panic and disbelief hit him like a punch to the chest. Jack ran to Max, who was waiting outside the apartment door. The dog's eyes were sad but steady, almost as if he knew what had happened. "She's gone, boy," Jack whispered, his voice cracking. Everything's gone." Max nuzzled him, refusing to leave his side. He sat quietly, offering comfort without words, understanding without explanation.
Days turned into weeks. Jack stopped running. He stopped hitting the bag. Even stepping into the gym felt pointless. The old fire that had fueled his career, the discipline, the strength, the determination, seemed to have vanished. 50 years old now, Jack felt like a man washed up by life, abandoned by love, betrayed by the very thing he thought would bring him happiness. But Max never left. Every day, the dog would sit beside him, nudging him toward the gym, reminding him of what he once was. Max would bark at the heavy bag, circle the ring, and stare at Jack as if saying, "You're stronger than this. You're not done yet." Jack's tears fell, but Max's loyalty began to plant a seed of something dangerous: hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, he could fight again, not for fame, not for love, but for himself. Jack is broken, betrayed, and on the verge of giving up, but Max refuses to let him fade away. Will the dog's loyalty be enough to pull Jack out of the darkness and back into the fight of his life?
Jack Carter hadn't stepped into the gym in weeks. His hands, once precise instruments of power, now trembled slightly as he held the gloves. His reflection in the mirror looked older, wearier, a man beaten not by fists, but by life itself. But Max refused to leave his side. Every morning, Max nudged him awake, barking insistently, pacing by the door until Jack followed. On the first day back, Jack barely moved. He hit the heavy bag once, then stopped, sweat dripping, chest heaving, and he wanted to quit. But Max sat patiently, eyes locked on him, unwavering. It was as if the dog was saying, "You've forgotten who you are. I haven't." That small, silent loyalty sparked something in Jack. Not fire, that had been gone. Not hope, that had been stolen, but determination. He started slow, shadow boxing in the mirror, Max circling the ring, barking encouragement when Jack stumbled. Push-ups, sit-ups, sprints, small, grueling steps back toward the man he once was. Weeks turned into months. Jack's body, stiff from neglect, began to move fluidly again. His punches regained their snap, his footwork sharp as ever. Max was with him every step, always pushing, always present. Jack realized something profound. He didn't need Emily. He didn't need validation from anyone else. He only needed to reclaim himself. One evening, after a punishing session, Jack sat on the edge of the ring, Max lying beside him, exhausted but loyal. "You kept me alive, boy," Jack whispered. "When I wanted to die inside, you reminded me I could fight." Max rested his head on Jack's knee, almost smiling. Word of Jack's return began to spread. Former promoters, fans, even old rivals were surprised to hear that the aging boxer was training again. But Jack didn't care about their opinions. This wasn't about fame. It was about proving to himself that life hadn't beaten him yet. Then came the first fight after his comeback, a local exhibition against a much younger opponent. Jack was nervous, but Max sat ringside, calm and confident. As the bell rang, Jack remembered every morning of running with Max, every punch thrown, every push-up done when his hands ached. He moved like a man half his age, dodging blows, countering, hitting harder than he had in years. The crowd erupted, but his eyes immediately went to Max. The dog barked happily, tail wagging like a banner of victory. Jack knew then that life could betray you, people could let you down, but loyalty, true loyalty, never left. Max had saved him. Not fame, not love, not money. Max had reminded him of who he was, and together they were unstoppable. Jack smiled, older but stronger than ever. His comeback wasn't just physical, it was emotional, spiritual, a triumph over betrayal, loneliness, and despair. And for the first time in years, Jack felt whole. But life has one more challenge ahead, a fight that's bigger than any opponent in the ring,
Will Jack and Max face it together, or will the shadows of the past catch up to them?
The arena was packed, lights blinding, cameras flashing. Jack Carter, now 51, stood in the center of the ring, gloves strapped, heart pounding, not with fear, but with purpose. Beside him, in a quiet corner, Max sat alert, ears pricked, eyes shining with pride. It had been months of relentless training. Every morning, every punch, every sprint, every bruise and setback had led to this moment. Jack wasn't just fighting an opponent in the ring tonight. He was fighting the years of betrayal, loneliness, and despair that had once nearly broken him. The crowd cheered as his opponent entered, a young, strong boxer, fast and hungry. Everyone doubted Jack. They whispered, "He's too old. He's finished." Jack ignored them. He didn't need their validation. He only needed Max's steady gaze and the fire in his own heart. The bell rang. The first rounds were rough. Jack's body, though stronger than it had been in years, protested. His punches didn't land as fast as they used to, but Max barked from ringside at every jab, every feint, as if shouting, "You can do this!" By the fourth round, something clicked. Jack remembered every morning with Max, the running in the cold, the endless repetitions of punches, the dog's silent encouragement through the hardest days. Every ounce of strength came from that loyalty. He moved with precision, his fists cutting through the air like lightning. The crowd went wild as Jack dodged a hard right, countering with a combination that stunned his opponent. Round after round, Jack's skill, experience, and heart outshone raw youth and power. In the final round, Jack saw an opening. He unleashed a powerful uppercut, the kind of punch that had made him a champion decades ago. His opponent went down, the referee counted, the crowd erupted, and Jack's victory was undeniable. But Jack's eyes weren't on the cheering fans, they were on Max. The dog bounded into the ring as soon as it was safe, tail wagging furiously, jumping up to nuzzle Jack's face. Jack laughed, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "You did it, boy! We did it!" The audience saw the champion, the comeback story, the man defying age, but Jack knew the truth. The real victory was not the belt, the applause, or the fame. It was loyalty. It was the unwavering love of a friend who never left, even when the world did. Jack raised his gloves, looking at the roaring crowd, then looked down at Max. "We're unstoppable," he whispered. From betrayal to heartbreak, from despair to triumph, Jack had learned that life's true champions are not those who win in the ring alone, but those who fight alongside those who never abandon them. As the arena lights dimmed, Jack walked out with Max by his side, stronger, wiser, and truly alive. The man and his dog, undefeated, unbreakable, and inseparable.